All right, here we go. Best of 3 against Caradoc and the meated angler himself. It's going to be vampire counts versus greenskins. And we find ourselves on a very Zinch flavored map. Blue everywhere. As Zinch would want it. Ooh, look at that. We even have like the background is all Zinchy. Oh, that's cool. It's like a little invasion of these weird crystal things. Very fun to see these kind of themed maps, but here we go, the armies. For Caradoc, we got Kemmler. We got a bunch of Skeleborgs. We got some zombies. Double Banshee has arrived. Look at them just sprinting across the battlefield. They have the Screaming Banner, which is very typical against the greenskins. It's a leadership debuff. And they also cause terror. And that'll prey on the rather low leadership of units like this. You know, Orc Boys. They are buffed right now, but a base leadership of 60 is not great. Dangler, of course, knows that vampire counts like to go for these kind of playstyles. So they've constructed a fun little build of their own to try and counter this situation. Indeed, it's going to be River Trolls. Look at these guys. River Trolls indeed. Coming on in. They have a sick ability here that's particularly good versus Undead. The Overwhelming Odor, which you would not expect it to actually be good versus Undead, but it reduces melee attack by 6 with units that already have extraordinarily low melee attack, like these skeletons. You can basically make it where they never hit your infantry. It's great. And when you're fighting a grindy faction like this, melee attack and melee defense will matter very much. This can make it where the greenskins just straight up trade in a main fight. And it looks like they might just want to go for it immediately. Vampire counts can't easily disengage, but they can force the greenskins to fight in an awkward position. You can see over here, reinforcement time. It's going to be about triple the vampire counts reinforcement time. They'll go in, going in for a zombie summon to disrupt these archers. This is kind of a pivotal moment where the archers can kind of sit back, relax, and get a ton of volleys off. So being able to disrupt one is good. And this is overall not a terrible situation for the Dangler. I'd say this is actually quite... I'd say this is quite decent for Dangler, actually. The archers are basically completely undisrupted. The zombies have died, which frees up these archers. The only thing that I worry about is if this game goes long, this is very much so going to be fought on the side of the vampire accounts. They are going for one of the capture points, but that leaves some of their units a little idle. They're not actually doing much over here. And this game might not come down to tickets. So obviously, winning the match involves getting to 150 tickets. But if you just army wipe your opponent and value trade like crazy, well, tickets don't really matter much. You can be at 1,499 tickets, but if you're triple capped, you're not going to win. Now, very quickly, Dangler does move over here to re-secure the point. This will still buy them time, but this means that their back line's a little bit more exposed. Thankfully, greenskins are quite a bit faster than the counts, so they should be able to reposition. But we are seeing some units slipping through. The March of Undead is coming in hot. Dangler has gone for the triple cap. A precarious situation when it comes to value trading, though. As you can see, they're quite spread out, but honestly, being spread out can be better since the vampire counts like blobbing around their corpse cards, of course. But here we go. Ooh, just got a call. Where were we? Let's take a look. Yes. Dangler playing greenskins. They're doing pretty well in this frontline fight. I think this match will probably come down to whether or not these archers die, because if they do survive, then vampire counts have basically lost on all fronts, right? They can't lose the front line and the back line fight. I will say things aren't going perfect here, though, in the front line, and I believe that's the Winds of Death. And there go a bunch of Orc Boys, so that's pretty brutal. Thankfully, these ones managed to survive, but that's actually a huge rout for the greenskins. And that's going to turn things a little bit. Now it's actually shifted the other way with a big spell like that. The Dangler needs to keep their archers alive. Otherwise, they'll lose it on all fronts. Good kill on the Karen Wraiths, though. Good little bit of, yeah, backline cleanup. And the fight over here is still going really well. You can see just how good those river trolls are. They reduced the Karen Wraiths down to 24 melee attack because they're tired. And that means they're barely going to be able to hit even the trolls. Savage Orcs, on the other hand, they'll be a little bit better, though. In general, however, it seems like vampire counts are starting to have a resurgence. They're using their dogs to run down some of the trolls. One of them rallies, but they're going for the ones that are actually routing. Units that are terror routed will always come back. But units that are normally routing, they just need to have an enemy unit near them and they'll keep routing.
One of your units has been destroyed.
Aspect of the Dread Knight does drop on some Night Goblin squigs to keep them around, but that's not really a huge play. Grom, though, potentially could shift things a little bit for the greenskins. If you look at the Vampire Count's army, they don't have a lot of backline dive right now. They just have a couple dogs. And that's about it. Meanwhile, greenskins do still have their archers, so it's really important that these banshees stay alive so they can continue disrupting. But even Grom the Paunch with his anti-infantry probably can't clear them very well. And I believe this is just I believe this is just lost now. That was actually a very rapid collapse. Very greenskin-esque though. But yeah, the archers kind of came back to a world where the front line was gone and the infantry are pushing them. Had the front line actually held, the archers could have been blasting away at the infantry at this point. But unfortunately, that will not be the case. Unit of Desperation does get dropped on the Karen Wraiths. It's actually pretty good against Karen Wraiths in general because of their low HP and relatively high cost, but still not as good as hitting cavalry at the end of the day. Our trolls over here are now beginning to the rout. And yeah, even though greenskins do have a lead on tickets, it's not going to go so well. I'd say probably taking the fight so aggressively here might have done them in. Though I don't know if things would have played out much differently if greenskins played a little further back. Ooh, and even a very nice catch on the boar boys over here. Gonna be getting them dead. Poor boar boys pinned down. This is a very expensive unit of cavalry too, and this is basically the nail in the coffin. There's essentially nothing left over here. All the core win tools or win conditions for the vampire counts are still on the field, and the greenskins, the only units they have left to come back is just 2 half-dead unit of archers. As good as Rugleds are, they're not going to be able to pull this back by themselves, and in fact they didn't even pay for themselves. This unit almost always pays for themselves, so quite surprising to see them do badly for once. If the greenskins do lose this, by the way, that would be quite the shame, as this is one of the only mono faction players we have in the tournament. It's Dangler, Maximillionaire, and oh boy, I forget their name. It starts with a K though. It starts with a K, but they actually already got knocked out. So this could be the second knocking out of the mono factions, though Dangler does have a way to come back in the next match. Still staying in the battle. They do lose on a 2-cap though. I believe they are 100% dead though. Like, I would say they would need an absolute miracle to lose to the vampire counts here. Now that the river trolls are down, any blob fight is now extremely in the advantage for the vampire counts. We have some Karen Wraiths coming in along both sides, I believe. They'll be able to mass chain route a lot of these units, and as they get more tired, they do lose out on leadership too, making them even worse. And when units route away close to another unit, that also gives a leadership debuff. The greenskins, you know, they just don't really perform very well once their lines are already collapsed. You can see even a mass chain terror route here coming in from the Banshee. That's not even doing a lot of damage. Just the mere presence is going to be getting these guys off the battlefield. And now vampire counts are going for the triple cap. So though, no shame in sticking with the fight. If you feel like there's even a small chance you can come back, you might as well stay in it. Never want to leave a game that you potentially would have won. But this is very bad. That's another mass route over here. Broken Tusk Mob are off, nearly off the battlefield. Bogged down by just thousands of zombies. Not paying for themselves either. Pump wagons doing their best. And it's kind of funny. Grom the Paunch and this River Troll Hag are still at basically full HP, but the vampire count strategy doesn't really need to kill them, nor is it trying to. The idea here is that these two units can't possibly kill enough units fast enough, nor can they actually secure the points against even basic zombies. So all the vampire counts have to do is kill off everything else, and then the game's basically over. You're basically stuck with a bunch of dead weight as the greenskins. So big shame indeed. Vampire counts getting to the point where they almost win on one capture point. Yeah, this is done. I'm gonna export. This is like 10,000 times over, man. Okay, there we go. No miracles were made, but there is a game number 2. Quickly though, let's just double check the values. Kemmler, not that much value despite the big winds of death. The thing is though, just routing off those greenskins, those orc boys, is just a big play in general. So that winds of death was still very effective. And yeah, honestly, just good disruption on the archers. Usually these guys are able to get lots of value on the counts, but just having a few units of infantry slip through really gave them a lot of trouble. And once they weren't supporting the front line anymore, things just collapsed. On top of taking a very good position strategically to get reinforcements in as fast as possible. But can the Dangler come back in game number 2? Can they bring it to the ace match? Well, let's take a look. We have Slaanesh versus the greenskins. A bunch of Slongors who are, mind you, nerfed in this modded tournament format where we've adjusted a few prices of units to mix things up. So that means with 4 Slongors, this build is actually 400 gold behind compared to its normal, standard counterpart. Quite an extreme situation. You'll notice the army for Slaanesh is quite a bit smaller, but they have some cool tools to try and make up for it. The mask is also, I believe, a little more expensive. So instead, they're running to Kala. This is one of my favorite lords in the Slaanesh roster right now because of this ability. Whirlwind of Pleasure, which one-shots any infantry in a radius. Cavalry even only have a little over 100 HP. So the Kala can just nuke units every 2 minutes. And against these kind of hard blob builds, she is quite effective. Especially because these Slongors are going to stand no chance against Black Orcs. Very cool looking unit over here. Very nice color scheme going on too. I believe this is Dangler's favorite greenskin color scheme. Looking pretty good. Looking quite fierce. Dakala will have a hard time clearing all of these Black Orcs. And if even a few of them survive, well, they can basically clear out all this infantry. Slongors are atrocious versus them. Hell Scourges are equally atrocious. We are going to see some Riders of the Mighty Serpent here, but I don't know how much value they'll be able to get. The main target that they can aim for here is basically just this Great Shaman, and essentially nothing else. So we'll see how this pans out. Second Black Orc gets summoned. There's no fight going on right now, so it's very safe to bring in a unit of infantry. As long as you feel like you can actually hold if the enemy decides to go all in. Infantry is safe to summon. And with an army as strong as this, absolutely, this is very safe. Now, there won't be as much mobility, but I don't think Dangler really is even looking for mobility. Summoning in yet another unit of Black Orcs. Marching onto the battlefield. with their glorious shields, extremely high melee defense. Even fiends will have a hard time hitting them. Their melee attack is just not high enough to punch through all this melee defense, though it gets close. And on a charge, it's actually not too bad. These guys are a little exposed. Doom Bolt gets cast on the Great Shaman. Does basically no damage though. That is not exactly Doom Bolt. It's a Rod of Torment. So not doing too much. Fiends getting caught up by some sacrificial wolf riders too, by the way. These guys are not here to kill the fiends. They're here just to bog them down. But a counter punch. Pit of Shade's going to be dropping on the Black Orcs. Very, very vicious. And Slaanesh is already getting a few plays here. A little bit of damage on the Great Shaman too. This could be bad. Now, if the Greenskins are able to send in more units and win this fight, that'd be great. But there's a little bit of a problem in that Slaanesh is just using their mobility to bring in more force into the backfield than the Greenskins have. This is the main specialty of Slaanesh. They're so fast they can actually play in your backfield and still have an army size advantage. And we're already seeing a few routes. This is pretty rough. Squigs get in, but they're not great versus the Fiends, and the Lord is still taking a lot of damage. Big guns are a perfect counter here, though, to a lot of the cavalry, so they do shove them back. And we're seeing a little bit of an interesting tussle. While this Slaaneshi force technically has more money in this area, the Greenskins are able to summon better counters. And that's working out pretty well for them. Slaanesh had to retreat a little bit, but they're not fully out of the picture. They still have T'Kala and this Chaos Sorcerer in here. So the Chaos Sorcerer is getting a little low. One Fiend does bite the dust, though, to the big guns, which is a very nice pickup for the Greenskins. And overall, I would say this is slightly going in favor for the Greenskins. Value trackers say so too. Can't be entirely trusted because it's absolutely broken. But it's still a good general measure of who's doing well. There is a little bit of a worry, though. That's that Greenskins are going very wide. You can see they're pushing forwards to try and get trades, but that leaves a huge gap here for Slaanesh to just slip in. And they do manage to get a pretty vicious charge on these Ruglets. Committing to the fight, though, is going to be a little sketchy. There are spears and big guns here to mop up. But this is a little rough. Black Orcs are completely undefended. If these guys die without support, that would be truly devastating. Slaanesh kind of busy elsewhere, though. And this will allow the Dangler to get a little bit of a ticket lead. This is good. They do rout off the Chaos Sorcerer of Slaanesh. But the position is a little tenuous. There's a lot of gaps everywhere. Another Fiend, though, might be biting the dust. That's actually a pretty big pickup. But will it be enough? Black Orcs are now starting to fall back. This is good. One of them's going to be capturing a point. Unfortunately, the Sorcerer was not able to get chased off. He's extremely fast on that mount over there. A little snake mount. And T'Kala is taking damage. I'd still say this is good for the Greenskins, just because the composition is so much better. Really, the only thing that could go wrong is if their Lord dies, I would say. Maybe if their infantry gets picked off by some summons. You can see these Black Orcs over here are very exposed, and Devotee crossbows are here to shoot them down. These guys actually don't do a lot of range damage, by the way, but they're really good in melee. Treat them more like a melee unit than ranged most of the time, but I guess they are doing pretty good work against those Black Orcs. At least they're trading better than the Slongors, most likely. And Fiends will be coming in to mop up that force. Over here, T'Kala is very low now. I'd say this Great Shaman could even finish her off with a few Vindictive Glares. So she's basically out of the fight as she can't heal. Meanwhile, in the center, Black Orcs are holding the point quite well. And they're also doing well here too, though I would presume we're going to see a Whirlwind from T'Kala soon. Maybe it's on cooldown, but a Whirlwind of Death could get extreme value here. Oh my goodness, this is going to happen. Not quite yet, not quite yet, but that would be almost 1,000 gold worth of value if T'Kala gets that off cooldown. Keep an eye on that one for sure. You can see the far side for the Greenskins starting to fall apart. Formation-wise, this is looking pretty rough. Okay, it's going to be a Pit of Shades instead. Still very strong. The Kala does get Spirit Leeched. Oh my gosh. Okay, Dangler summoned in a River Troll Hag to try and finish the job. Pretty crazy. Only 2 more Spirit Leeches and Dakala dies, but that's still going to be about 30 wins of magic total. But yeah, I do think this is pretty rough. A little bit of a big push to try and get the capture points, resulting in quite a few hefty losses for the side of the greenskins. Yeah, it's not looking too great. Oh my goodness, look at that. The shatters are here, and Slaanesh does manage to secure this point. Greenskins don't win on a 1 cap either, so they have to resecure this. And generally speaking, that means that they're not going to be able to force Slaanesh into fights very much, I don't think. Slaanesh actually has quite the ludicrous amount of time right now. They have about, they have like almost 5 minutes to resecure this point. That is a lot of time. Now, the Dangler has put Caradoc on a little bit of a shorter timer, though. By Spirit Leeching Dakala, Slaanesh does need to make some plays before Dakala just straight up dies. Parking her extremely far away will certainly help, though. But yeah, if she does go down, that should be in the advantage for the greenskins. They are getting some nice blob fights too, and they are building up a formation. But more units over here are getting caught out. Black Orc's gonna get rear charged by some Furies by the looks of it. I believe this is in the favor of Furies because it's a rear charge, but I know Dangler specifically likes Black Orcs because they do well against these guys. Let's take a look. It might just be an even trade. And that's not the worst because this is technically supposed to be the best situation for Furies. That might change though with the support of Fiends. And it looks like another Black Orc might be biting the dust. Pretty rough actually, yeah, look at that. Furies with the Fiend support completely clobbering those Black Orcs. And we're just seeing greenskins losing tons of units because of positioning. The Great Shaman's pretty low too. The Kala equally low. If one more Spirit Leech drops on her, it's over. But I believe she's even out of range of Overcast Spirit Leech. Oh, and look at this. Okay, this might actually be it. Game's pretty close, but if this Lord dies to Fiends, it's over. Gets hit by the Soporific Musk. Is stuck in the trees, though he's not getting the terrain debuffs just yet. Does he have a Strider? He does have Strider. Never mind. I guess he has a Spider. But this is still pretty bad. If this Lord dies, it's basically over. Uses the Crown of Command on himself. Commands himself to stay in the fight. And he will manage to escape. This could be good if these Fiends get caught and murdered, but there's no counterpunch to take him out. The Kala is still alive in the far distance. And even the Chaos Sorcerer coming back for more. Despite being extremely low on HP, they feel like they can take on this River Troll Hag. Stat-wise, they are way better. The River Troll Hag seems to be exhausted by the looks of it. And this guy actually still has a little bit of vigor, but Spirit Leech drops, getting them extremely low. This is actually gonna be pretty close. All 3 characters here on the verge of death minus the River Troll Hag. Looking to try and get each other killed, but both players are playing very carefully. Black Orcs now supported here. As long as they're not being rear charged, they should do pretty well. And the Fiends are forced to disengage. But I think Slaanesh is still in a slightly better position. You can see they have the triple cap. The Goblin Great Shaman is not really doing much. He's forced to stay out of the fight. And without the Great Shaman, greenskins really only have like 4 units. Plus the River Troll Hag actually routes. Getting charged by the Fiends. Routing off at 2/3 HP. What an embarrassment. And now the Dangler is forced to try and save her. But here's the thing. Tickets are very close for both players, but more importantly, very high. Which means the person with more points is going to be at a rather massive advantage here, as they can freely give up points to get extremely effective value trades. And not only that, Slaanesh's late game quite terrifying. They have their army abilities to pin down units. Fascination is cast on these guys. I think the greenskins are barely gonna lose. With the Kala at 500 HP, that means all those overcast spirit leeches were for naught. And she wasn't gonna come back into the fight anyways. River Troll Hag does rally though. Misses the attack, however, on the Chaos Sorcerer. Of course, that melee defense is insanely high. I think lands the second attack, maybe? No. Oh my gosh, she can't hit him. She can't hit him. Oh my goodness. And if they rout off the River Troll Hag, well, I think even without a rout, this is basically already over. Slaanesh's late game is just a little bit better. And the Sorcerer looks like... Yep, they rout off the River Troll Hag. Getting just a couple hits in. Goblin Great Shaman is down. And that's gonna be it. The Dangler is out. Meaning there's only one more mono faction player in this entire tournament. And that's gonna be Maximilianaire. GG! Well played to Caradoc. Climbing the way out of the pits. Doing pretty well for themselves with some pretty strong counter picks. Some absurdly good Pit of Shades, by the way. Using the Chaos Sorcerer. Fiends getting insane value. And even making use of those Furies against the Black Orcs. Black Orcs themselves did pretty good, but a lot of them were getting picked off by the forces of Slaanesh. Some good counterplay, though, in the backfield. And interesting to see some Wolf Riders. They actually did pretty good, which surprises me. It's always fun to see a little bit of a tech piece here. That's, yeah, I guess good specifically against Slaanesh, because their cavalry have no armor. Very fun to see, and a lot of the Black Orcs did do well. I will say the second, the River Troll Hag summon was cool, but not being able to finish off the Collar with her really set the greenskins back. Because I don't think this River Troll Hag did much else other than those few Spirit Leeches. And that kind of drained mana from, or magic from this Great Shaman too, so it's not like the spell casting was that much more useful. Very unfortunate. But GG, well played to Caradoc. And we'll see how far they go next time.